Alright, here we are now with the balance changes of patch 6.05. As I said, we already saw the best patch so far with all the new changes. There's skins, there's skills, there's new playstyle within mastermind modes. It's just awesome. And now we're coming to the game balance changes that are mostly good. I really like almost all of them. Let's have a look at them. So the very first, dual building is now a little bit buffed again for the 4v4, as well as chaos build is now a little bit better. All of that it's okay. Classic players will read that passage. King is now a little bit smarter at attacking. That's super. It was always a little bit annoying. Yeah, when the king was doing some weird stuff. Now, next on, the lizard army. It has been super weak throughout the patches, throughout the seasons. Now, the mythium is increased from 35 to 40. On top of that, you're getting in total a 6 lizards sent, with 1 lizard on 11, 2 lizards on 12, and 3 lizards on 13. So this is probably one of the strongest offensive spells now. You can do stuff like 11-13 with a shit ton of mythium, so that is really something I have to look forward to see, because it might be one of the stronger Legion spells, especially with Giant Snail. The next spell is getting nerfed. I really do like the nerfs here. It has been one of the best spells in the game for sure, so nerfs are totally fine on that unit, and it's just a super dominant spell. I'm pretty sure it might still be played a lot. Guardian Angel, I can't just say it's good that it's receiving a nerf. I don't know why Guardian Angel is so much better than Titan, for example, since Guardian Angel is basically giving a unit another 1900 health. So this is just way stronger than Titan anyway. So if there's GA, don't underestimate it. It's a great spell. You should always take it if there's no other option, or if you're not forced to take something else. Hero is getting a little bit of a nerf as well, which is fine. Hero was especially great in the late game, so that is still gonna be, but it's just a little bit weaker, so that is totally fine. I think overall though, Hero was a little bit underestimated by a lot of players, because yeah, it takes some time usually till you are in the range where Hero is kinda usable, because you just have to place all those big units around the Hero unit. Next on, we're having a pawn shop. Now you get 5 more gold, which is great. I think pawn shop was already a little bit of a sleeper. Now we're having it with a little buff. That's great. Same with protector. You get 50 more health. The aura is healing a little bit more, and like the bug or the intention of it working on the revived Eternal Wanderer or the Samurai, yeah, that is gone now. But overall, a nice buffed protector. I think that's great. You can now use it even better on some units, and you can absolutely need 700 health. A really interesting change we're coming next to is the pulverizer, because now the unit that is stunning the units is also gaining 10% attack speed, and 10% attack speed is dope, because obviously the more attack speed you're having, the more you're gonna stun the waves units or the mercenaries. So this is probably one of the greatest spells now to use on doppelgangers, for example. So have a look on that. Doppelganger on 13. There's one drill golem gonna be 24/7 stunned, especially with another 10% attack speed, which is already huge on a doppelganger. So that's probably the new doppelganger's best spell. Next on, Magician and Sorcerer, both getting nerfed. They're super powerful spells, so totally fine for them to get nerfed. Next on, Titan. I've been talking about it already when we were talking about the Guardian Angel. A little bit of a nerf. Titan was strong, yes, especially with units that had either reduction or an ability that regenerated either health, like Aseria, or gave them a little bit more of a shield, like with the Phoenix and the Firelord. So that is pretty good of a nerf. It was a really strong unit, especially with Wanderers once again. That is now removed. Vampire, a little bit less Spellvamp. I think Vampire was already not that much played anymore, especially since Butcher Nightmare is not the strongest comp anymore. So that's pretty much fine, but I think overall, if you're having Butcher, Nightmare, Head Chef, and Vampire, it's still a broken comp. Next on, we're reaching the Fighters, and I have to say here, there's some units I don't totally agree, but most of the changes are just awesome. One of the ones I don't agree is the Buzz, for example. Buzz felt like a decent win rate, 50.8% is in my eyes totally fine, and the pick rate on average, I don't see a need for a nerf here, but still there is a huge nerf on the damage spell, so not dealing 60 but now 15 damage. I think that's quite a hard nerf. Maybe 55 would have done good as well, or just don't nerf it. I don't really agree on that one, but yeah, it is as it is. I think Buzz is now just a really weak tier 1 if it's not a consort. Consort still really strong unit. Next on, we're having all types of masks getting nerfs, especially in their health. It looks like Mask had a super high win rate. I myself love Mask and I love to play it, not only at the moment but overall. I can see the nerf, especially with Mask Honeyflower being one of the strongest setups you could have at the moment, so I'm totally happy to see this getting nerfed. Next on, we're having Protons and Atoms. Both of them have dominated ranked games within the last patch. I'm really happy to see changes as well here on the health. You see the pick rate and the win rate are quite high, so totally agree on those changes here. Both, I think, Proton and Masks are not seen that often anymore. Especially with Mask, I think 90 health here is quite a big nerf, especially if you place it in the early game. In late game, it's kind of irrelevant because it's like sometimes not even a hit. But overall, I think for the early game, both of those units received big nerfs. In the late game, you usually don't play items anyway. Next on, we're having Angler getting a little bit of a buff. What should I say? Angler is still a trash unit for itself, so have a right setup for them to play and you're good to go, especially within mid and late game. Nikomata finally getting a buff again. Last patch it got a nerf. It feels totally useless at the moment. I'm not sure if that is gonna help, but Nikomata feels really weak at the moment. Next, I really like that is a buff on Zeus again. Zeus got kind of nerfed to the ground after it was that dominant in the beginning of Season 6. It's coming back slowly. I really like to see it again, and I really hope it is strong enough to compete within the top openers. Pyro, really interesting change here, probably one of the most interesting ones. You're having the DPS unchanged, cutting the damage into half and doubling the attack speed. This is insanely strong for Pyro together with APS MPS. So this is a huge buff for that setup or for early game waves where a Pyro might kill units a little bit faster like that. But obviously it's a huge buff for the safety mold against the Pyro build. So keep that in mind, send mold against Pyros now. It's gonna demolish them. I mean, it's cutting their damage output by around 25%. Next on, finally, Sky Queens are getting buffs. DPS is now increased by almost 2 damage per second. Especially here, you see the damage itself is getting down quite a bit, but the attack speed is getting increased, which is insane because Sky Queens stack attack speed. So if you change DPS in that way that you're getting more attack speed, it's actually way better, because since the base attack speed is now stacking even more, they're gonna be just even faster attacking as soon as they're stacked. Really gonna look forward to see some Sky Queen action again, together with either Leviathans, together with Steeds, all of that. It's gonna be insane to watch, and maybe even the Demolisher Sky Queen. I think that's the wrong name. The Pulverizer Sky Queen might be a thing you can see this patch maybe. Next on, Sea Serpents, small nerfs on health and attack speed. High pick rate, high win rate. It's good that they're getting a nerf. They are super dominant, especially against ranged stents. You basically deny your enemy all the ranged units and all the ranged mercenaries if you're having sea serpents and play them correctly. So that is just a huge unit because of that fact. Totally fine that they are a little bit weaker then. Next on, Gate Guards and Heartbreaker. Dude, if I just look at the win rate, 47%, this totally reflects what I'm thinking about them. I personally don't like them at all. So they're getting a buff. It's super small in my eyes for a 3% deficit on the win rate. Only getting mana regeneration increased by 10%. So personally, I feel like this is not a good thing at all, since they need 20 mana to spawn another Hellhound or Chaos Hound. And this is just gonna take like 2 seconds less now. Is that worth it? I'm not sure. Let's see, but I don't think that 10% is gonna help, especially with another unit that has around the same win rate is getting even bigger buffs. Next on, Leviathan. It's getting a huge damage increase, so it's way better as unit itself now, but therefore the aura is getting decreased a little bit, which I kind of like. So the aerial damage command is now not giving attack damage anymore, no flat attack damage anymore, but only the potential one. I kind of support that idea. Leviathan now a way stronger unit itself. It felt really bad if you had to upgrade a Leviathan very early with not a lot of units around. So overall, I do like that change. Violets, I love violets. It looks like they're still high picked, high win rate, which is not only because they're super awesome from the design aspect, but also they have a lot of synergies. There's Leviathan, there's the Steeds, there's the Varg. All of that make Violet that strong and that high picked. So they're getting more and more nerfs. I really don't like that too much, but I mean, if the win rate is that high, you kind of have to cut it a little bit down. I can't change that. Now maybe to one of the most controversial changes in my mind. I don't really see the sense in that. A little bit of a damage buff, HP buff on the Wild Room, but a damage decrease or a DPS decrease that is going by decreasing the damage plus decreasing the attack speed. Not sure if I like that. So I personally would have liked more to let the DPS the same, or if it decreases a little bit, give it more attack damage instead of more attack speed, because they're already really bad against brutes. I don't know. Maybe that's good, maybe not. Overall, it's a super small buff, because that is like a 2%, I think, around 2%, a little bit more than 2% health buff, while it is only a plus minus 1. No. The health increases the double percentage increase than the DPS. I think it was 4 and how much was it? 4 and 2%? I don't know anymore. Somebody before calculated it. I might say bullshit, but overall it's getting a small buff. I personally I'm not sure about this change. Next on, we're having the Canopy getting only a buff, which I really do like, especially when it is getting more health. You have to keep in mind here that 4,300 health and now 4,400 are getting cut in half, because a Wild Room is starting with 50% health only. Next on, Steed and Pegasus both getting nerfs in their stats. So DPS going down for the Steed, and the health and attack speed going down for the Pegasus. Both of the units have an extremely high and important synergy with every mana spender or every mana unit. Their win rate is already a little bit low, so it's interesting that they're still getting nerfed. I personally would have estimated that the win rate is actually a little bit above average, but let's see, maybe they're gonna need another buff again after the patch. Who knows? Next on, Lost Chieftain. I know, this is probably one of the most patched units since its release, or since the change of Lost Chieftain, and it's getting buffed and buffed and buffed. The giant shield just does not feel strong. Now another 150 health increase from the shield. The only problem you have with the shield, 1,500 health is insane, but the only thing you have to mention is that it is not, that you can't select where you cast the extra HP, but it is just the highest unit is gonna get chosen. So that is not perfect at all. As soon as you can pick the unit that is getting buffed, you probably have to cut that by quite a lot, but so far it might be now playable, especially with like an Archer at the Butcher in the very front, or a Banana, Haven, anything like that. It might be good now. I gotta test, of course. MPS itself, getting some buffs in health and damage output. 50% win rate for me felt fine. Don't know why there's a buff coming, but okay, I'm gonna take that. And now we're at the unit I was talking about before. 47% win rate, equal to the Gate Guard. And this unit here is getting a 10% health buff and a 10% damage buff. This is just huge. Head Chef is getting huge buffs. I'm really looking forward to try some Head Chef plays. Maybe with some units you might not expect it, since Head Chef itself feels like a decent unit now. Let's see, maybe you can play it. Sandbatcher, one of the most dominant units when you come to magic damage, is getting some good nerfs. 30 health left. He's not dealing a lot of damage anyway, so I think that's a good change. But now, probably the most broken change in that patch. Ocean Templar is getting huge buffs. 200 more health, 5 more damage. The healing aura is now from 2% max health regeneration, buffed, or like debuffed to 1% health regeneration, but now it comes. Plus 20% damage reduction from magic damage. Here, I tell you now what is gonna happen. You're gonna have a unit or smaller units or just something that is good for 7 and 8 anyway. There's Banana Bunk, there's Aquas, there's Tempest. All those units are kind of good on those waves. There's Masks. Not sure if you can still play them, but at the moment there are Masks. And the real big problem with Arcane is 14 and 15. So you just pick Growl and you're just fine because you can spam King Claws, for example, for 11, 12, 13, 15, and 14, obviously I dodged that. And obviously after that there's then 16, 17 coming, where they're great as well. So the only thing you're doing, you spam those tanks, maybe you can spam some other tanks as well. A Antler, your Soras, all that. On 14, you're building an Ocean Temple in the middle of those. They are gonna act like they were Arcane tanks because of the plus 20% damage reduction from magic damage. And after 15, you're just gonna sell the Ocean Templar itself again because it's probably still a little bit weaker. And then you have 2 more waves where you can spend the gold of the Ocean Templar either into workers, into better units, into damage units, anything like that. And if it comes to 18 or 20, you can just upgrade the Ocean Templar once again. Easy. This is totally broken. Hear my words, you will see it. Next on, Priestess, getting a little bit of a health nerf. They say it's hard to play, but personally I think it's a little bit too hard and too RNG based on the game at the moment. Let's see. Berserker, some attack speed nerfs, but Fatalizer's getting some health increasements. Personally, I don't understand why a Berserker needs some nerfs. To me, it feels kind of weak, especially it's not really fulfilling his action anyway, especially with reducing the attack speed. Like the ramping up damage is the only thing you need it for on waves like 10, 13, 6. So that is kind of all. I don't really like to nerf a Berserker via attack speed reduction. At the moment, a Berserker just feels like a tank in the early game especially. But I do like that Fatalizer is getting some more love because Fatalizer is kind of good in some setups. Next on, Hydra, just everything is getting nerfed. We don't have to discuss that. Hydra is just one of the most broken units still. Next on, Millennium and Doomsday Machine. You probably know already, at the moment, I hate them. Why do I hate them? Their range is just way too big for the amount of health they're having. For example here, the Doomsday Machine, 5600 health, and it is standing in your backline. Elite archers are gonna tank for it. There is LODs tanking for the Doomsday Machine, MPS tanking for the Doomsday Machine, which is the only one that is good I mentioned here. Mask, in some cases they're tanking for the Doomsday Machine, even though they have 50 more range. Like, all of that is not benefiting the Doomsday Machine at all. So the Doomsday Machine is basically the last unit surviving, but you don't want such a big tank as the last unit surviving with all the other DPS units dying before that. That's why I don't think they're strong, and they won't be strong still. But there's some really good changes, especially here for the Millennium in the early game, where the DPS is untouched, but it is now firing a little bit faster, which might be pretty good in waves like 7 or 9, or also might be a play to have a Grawl into a Doomsday against 3, 4, 5, 6. Gotta test this out, but in my mind, this could be something really great, and that is probably coming to play. Next on, yeah, there's a lot of changes everywhere. More attack speed, a little bit more DPS on the Doomsday Machine, and obviously some health increasements. As I said, finally get rid of this high range from the Doomsday, and you're gonna see it 100% in ranked again. Next on, Phoenix, more health, more damage. Phoenix developing into the best mana, the best magic damage dealer, slowly getting there at rank number 1. Not sure if it's already there now, but there are some good buffs, especially with the new Hatchef. Probably Phoenix is still good with Leviathan and all those units. I don't think it's too bad right now. Next on, Red Eyes. Red Eyes is one of the units you only need to buff at 2 special numbers, at 2 special factors. Number 1, health. More health, good, because it's a tank. Second, charge. You build Red Eyes and Boas only to deal splash damage and AoE against the wave, decrease their attack speed, and then have it as a huge tanks when your AoE setup or your half AoE setups like Mask, Aquas, Elite Archers are firing into the wave. So those 2 buffs, great. The damage buff, obviously, a Red Eyes deals some damage as well, but that's not the factor why you're building it. So just if you see those 2 factors increased, great. Last but not least, the Mercenaries, which now is also gaining mana by imps that are dying. It's great, perfect against the Hades spam. Next on, some super small wave 7 nerfs on top of some small wave 8 buffs, so shifting some more power from 7 to 8. 8 is gonna be really strong now. I'm not sure if it's already too strong now, but it's gonna be super strong soon, so I'm a little bit afraid of that wave 8 in the future. Next on, wave 14 getting a little bit of a nerf, with that indirectly buffing wave 15 a little bit more. I like that the boss wave is a little bit stronger compared to the other waves. And then last but not least, 17 and 19 are gaining some more attack speed. I do like that games should end pre-20, because 20 in most of the times is just a stupid RNG game, since some rules are better, some rules just delay, and the other team is dying a little bit faster even if they received the triple amount of Mythium, for example. Overall, this patch here gets from me the biggest like I've ever given to any patch. It's the best patch in Legion since the release in my eyes. There's huge increasements to the playstyle via the 3 variances of Mastermind. Almost all balance changes are great. The guild and the shop, the skins, all that looks great. So I want to thank everybody of you from the devs, Jules, Lisk, Curring, and Danny. Thank you guys so much for that patch. It's insane, and I'm really looking forward to stream it. Keep in mind, when the patch comes live on either Saturday, Sunday, or Monday next weekend, I'm gonna do a stream where we unlock the skins, where we're having a huge card opening and see all that. On top of that, December the 4th, there's going to be a 24-hour sale on Steam. So if there's friends you're having that want to purchase the game, tell them there's a sale on Steam, some promotion going on as well. As I said, it's 24 hours. I'm gonna try to cover most of the time on my Twitch channel. I think I'm gonna make at least 15 hours where I'm going to stream. You see some classic games and 21 games, most of the time some ranked as well. We're gonna discuss there. If you're having questions, all that, join the stream. It's gonna be amazing. Here's the date. The patch notes are in the description. Have a nice day and grind a lot.